Some are good.
I asked her, she'll tell you, see?
Yeah.
So you say most of the 125 were yes?
They've got to come back next.
That's not right.
I agree.
You can't not get that because there are hurdles. That's not the same. That's not right.
Antoine, it's literally like the definition of systemic racism.
That's what I'm about to say. We can't do that.
I now call this regular meeting of the Committee of the Whole to order at 6:04 p.m. Can you please call the roll?
Ms. Pearson?
Present.
Ms. Chavez?
Present.
Ms. McCall?
Present.
Ms. Bennett?
Here.
Mr. Carpenter?
Here.
Ms. Haley?
Here.
Ms. Stanford?
Here.
With 7 present, we have a quorum.
We'll now take a moment of silence followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. As we start each board meeting, it bears reminding that the mission of Rockford Public Schools is to collaboratively engage all students in an equitable first-class education for a changing world. Before we go any further, thank you to Kim Pedersen and Aaron Hill, who are working behind the scenes to produce the board's broadcast via YouTube live stream and Comcast Channel 20. We're now on to the regular portion of the meeting. Agenda item 2, meeting minutes from May 6, 2025. Are there any changes, corrections, or additions to the meeting minutes? If not, they will be accepted as submitted. Thank you. And Ms. Stanford will lead the Stakeholders Committee, or Ms. Haley, I'm sorry.
Ms. Haley.
Good evening. It's now time for the Stakeholders Committee portion of the meeting tonight. Let's start by showing our 12-month agenda and our feature presentation. So our 12-month agenda is on the screen now. Tonight we will have Executive Director Kayleen Crow present on Rockford Promise. Regarding the board calendar, we want to remind board members of the opportunities available to interact with our students, families, and community each month. Please make sure to check out the board calendar at rps205.com on a regular basis for the most up-to-date information. Next, we will look at all the good things that are happening in our district. Auburn High School students teamed up for 2 days to build a greenhouse at Wayne's Feed Store for Earth Day. Real world skills, teamwork, and community impact all in one project. Next, we have the Makerspace Expo was a hit at STEAM Academy. At Haskell, 5th graders teamed up to design and build their own carnival-inspired creations using the engineering design process. Guests saw their work and heard what they learned about problem solving, teamwork, and themselves. Next, former student and author Devin Palladino returned to Lincoln Middle School to inspire students with his powerful story of resilience. From foster care to published author, Devin reminded students that no dream is too big, especially for kids from the 815. We celebrated the 60 amazing student teachers at Prairie Street Brew House. With support from RPS 205 leaders, families, and cooperating teachers, these future educators connected with administration and gained insight into hiring and the road ahead. Next, we have Marshall Middle School. Marshall Middle School received recognition from PLTW as a 2024-25 Distinguished Gateway School. It recognizes U.S. schools for providing broad access to transformative learning experiences for students through PLTW Gateway programs, a 6th grade 6 to 8 STEM curriculum. Next, middle school artists from across RPS 205 teamed up with muralist Dustin Eckhart to paint a student-inspired mural at Hillman Elementary. Over 2 days, students brought their creative vision to life as part of the all-district mural project. Next, East High School. Intro to Engineering Design students created themed cardboard games for Constance Lane and Whitehead Elementary students. They met design constraints, modeled in on-shape, and added mechanics inspired by robot builds. 50 students brought 10 games and 6 robots to wow 110 students. Next, we have Guilford High School. Guilford High School made history. 4 Guilford High School students became the first from the school to be accepted into the Awaken Foundation LC3 apprenticeship program. Designed for future trades pros, this milestone was celebrated with an official signing event. Next, our high school service academy students in the nutrition pathway ended the semester deliciously. presenting final projects with fully themed menus. From cultural cuisine to balanced meals, they showcase creativity, cooking skills, and nutrition know-how. Tasty and impressive. Good job. After 30-plus years in education and 17 as Hillman Elementary's Heart and Soul, Principal Carolyn Kloss is retiring. To honor her love of books and kids, staff unveiled a little free library in her name, a perfect tribute to her legacy of learning, leadership, and love. We wish Ms. Kloss the best. It was a big day of signings at Guilford High School. 6 students committed to serve in the National Guard, Air Force, and Army, while 13 students signed to launch careers in the construction trades. We are so proud of these students taking steps towards their futures. Next, also at Guilford, cap, gown, and a side of sprinkles was a sweet send-off for high school seniors. They celebrated their last day of school with a donut parade through Guilford High School halls, and then walked in cap and gown through nearby elementary and middle schools to inspire the next generation of students. Our student ambassadors are leading the way through student-led tours with administration. Middle schoolers at Marshall, Lincoln, Eisenhower, and Flynn built leadership confidence and community. This program is shaping tomorrow's leaders today. Next, we have our RESA Junior Promise. RESA Middle School hosted its 2nd annual Junior Promise celebration with Rockford Promise. 230 students in grades 6 through 8 were honored for earning a 3.0 or higher grade point average and were encouraged to pursue future opportunities in high school. Mayor Tom McNamara and Promise Scholars also inspired the crowd. Next up is items of note with our community partners. Rockford Systems hosted Pathway Days for Roosevelt Community Education Center. Students explored local manufacturing, workplace safety, and career paths through demos, tours, and talks, highlighting how industry and schools build a stronger future workforce. Next, we have our Rockford area Habitat for Humanity. They celebrated the houses built by East, Guilford, and Jefferson High School students, construction students, for families. Located off Sandy Hollow Road, these homes are the result of a year of hands-on learning in the skilled trades. Next on our 205 Vibe. What began with language gaps and behavioral struggles turned into growth, belonging, and transformation. Read all about Soka Umoja, the ESL soccer club at Constance Lane, 1 student, 1 bridge builder, and 1 ball. Now in legislative news, State Representative Dave Vella stopped by Johnson Elementary School to read to Miss Miners and Miss Griffith's classes as part of the Ready to Read Literacy Initiative. Thanks for inspiring our young leaders and shaping the joy of books with our students. Our mayor visited Flynn, Tom McNamara visited Flynn Middle School, where 8th graders interviewed him as part of a 6-week journalism unit. Students explored Rockford issues like crime, pollution, and development, then asked the mayor tough questions in a powerful student-led conversation. Now for our internal and external news. RPS is holding a district-wide job fair on Wednesday, June 25th from 9 to noon at East High School. If you feel the need to help shape a child's future and make an impact, start your journey and join us. Next, we want to congratulate our superintendent, Dr. Aaron Jarrett. He was named the 2025 Superintendent of Distinction by IASA's Kishwaukee Regionals recognized for visionary leadership, academic gains, community partnerships, and innovation in Rockford. Congratulations, Dr. And now for our feature presentation. Please welcome Rockford Promise Executive Director, Kayleen Grow. Kayleen, the floor is yours.
Good evening, and thank you so much for this opportunity to speak with you this evening. As mentioned, my name is Kayleen Grow, and I am the Executive Director of Rockford Promise. Tonight, I would like to share with you a little bit about Rockford Promise, who we are and why we exist, and the work we've been doing since 2006. Next, I'd love to give you an update on the incoming cohort of students joining us this fall. And finally, an update on all the work we've been doing during the past academic year as a result of RPS funding. Who is Rockford Promise and why do we exist? Rockford Promise began back in 2006 with a big dream and a dangerous question. What if? What if we could promise every graduate of Rockford Public School District 205 the encouragement, mentorship, and financial support necessary to earn a college degree? What would that look like for students who had a pathway to post-secondary education? What would that look like for residents who would eagerly choose our community as a place to reside? What could that look like for businesses who would pick our community as a place to open their next warehouse or business location based on the incredible amount of talented workforce available here locally? And that's the work Rockford Promise has been doing since 2006. We gave out our first full tuition scholarship in 2016, and you can see that on the graph there. We started with 5 scholarships to begin with, and we were able to double that year after year. In 2020, the city and Dr. Jarrett was part of this as well. As a result of that team effort, we were able to announce a new option for local students, Northern Illinois University. And after that, in fall of 2021, you can see huge growth in the overall number of local Rockford Public School students who were able to attend college as a result. Now, if you have your calculators ready, with our 200 students joining us this fall, that means Rockford Promise has extended 931 full tuition scholarships since 2016. And that number represents thousands of dollars saved by local students and families. It represents $131.81 of local economic impact for every dollar invested here locally. And it shows, as you can see that growing trajectory, it shows a strong and increased interest from our local tax base for post-secondary opportunities. Rockford Promise is more than just a scholarship, however. We know that financial barriers are just one of the things holding back many students and families. So in addition to scholarships, we also support our scholars with robust academic advising, community mentorships, meaningful social connections, and all of this work is to ensure that they not only start their college journey, but also graduate with a degree in hand. And these efforts have led to some incredible outcomes for RPS students turned college students, outperforming national averages time and time again. This fall, we are thrilled to welcome our newest cohort of RPS 205 students to our 4 different collegiate locations. They join students already in the midst of their college education and already benefiting from the exceptional support provided by Rockford Promise. A quick look at this incoming cohort provides the following key details. We're adding 200 RPS 205 students. 62% of those incoming cohort are first in their family to attend college. 71% of students are students of color. The top majors and areas of interest for these students are healthcare, engineering, business, and education, which builds very nicely on top of all of the academies already at work within RPS 205. We are very proud as well that our students come from every zip code all across our city, as you can see on the graph and the map in the background of this slide. The annual funding we receive from RPS directly supports impactful work with students within RPS 205 schools. This includes being part of informational nights at high schools, organizing lunch hour events at each of the locations, assisting students with applications, and collaborating with organizations like the Illinois Student Assistance Commission, ISAC, and the Community Foundation to ensure that students have a good understanding of the scholarships and financial aid available to them. During the 24-25 school year, Rockford Promise was able to participate in 52 separate events with 12,267 students and families in attendance, and that led to 4,628 direct connections with those students and families. And finally, it resulted in a record-breaking 403 applications this year, which was very exciting for us as an organization. More than these impressive metrics, however, this work that we're doing in partnership with RPS is making a meaningful impact by addressing a critical challenge, the student engagement cliff. This term refers to the steep decline in student engagement that often occurs between grades 5 through 12 as young people transition from middle school to high school. Research from Gallup and other organizations highlights that this disengagement is particularly pronounced when students don't have a plan beyond their high school education. Compared to their college-bound peers, for example, these students are less likely to feel motivated, interested, or inspired by what they're learning in school. Programs like Rockford Promise, however, are uniquely positioned to address this challenge. The promise of a college scholarship has the power to transform how students engage in their day-to-day work. To qualify for our 4-year college options, for example, students must maintain a 3.0 GPA throughout the entirety of high school, a requirement that not only fosters academic excellence, but also provides a clear, tangible goal for students to strive for. Additionally, our outreach efforts with middle school students, as you saw a photo of earlier tonight, it helps those middle school students understand how their performance in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade ties to their performance as they transition to high school, whether that's 9th grade or all the way through to graduation. By connecting early academic achievements to the milestones needed to stay on track for both high school and Rockford Promise, we work in tandem with RPS 205 to guide students towards success and ensure they are well prepared to apply for the program during their senior year. By setting clear attainable goals and offering a pathway to higher education, Rockford Promise inspires students to stay in school, improve their academic performance, and dream even bigger. The results are transformative: better academic outcomes, increased retention rates, and stronger student engagement. But Rockford Promise isn't just a benefit for the students. It's also an incredible benefit for families, parents, and employers within our community. This year, for the first time ever, we surveyed incoming students as to the employers where their parents are working. And we are thrilled to share that 26 of this year's students have parents who work directly at RPS 205. Rockford Promise continues to be an incredible asset for families who live and work right here in our city, strengthening our community and investing in its future. Tonight, I hope you've heard that Rockford Promise is more than just a scholarship program. It's a movement that inspires hope, unlocks potential, and builds a brighter future for our students and our community. Thank you, RPS 205, for being a major part of this journey with us. Up next, we have several guests who would also like to speak on behalf of Rockford Promise. We have first a parent, Mike Foreman, followed next by a recent graduate, Julissa Gutierrez, next in the middle, an incoming student, Justice Wright, and then finally, a recent graduate, Julissa Gutierrez. So please help me welcome them.
Thank you. Yeah, first off, I'd just like to say thank you to the school district and to the Rockford Promise. I did not grow up in Rockford. I'm from Indiana. I moved to Chicago after college. I met a woman from Rockford, and when we had children, we moved back here. So I'm not a boomeranger. I'm a boomeranger adjacent, I like to say. And so I thought when we first moved here that we'd probably only stay a few years. Compared to downtown Chicago, real estate prices are pretty attractive here. And so my initial game plan was to move out here while we had our children near my wife's parents, and then probably move back probably to the north side of Chicago where a lot of my friends were moving. But when my children became school age, I started doing research and found the Rockford Gifted program, which, as you know, has been ranked #1 multiple times, and both of my daughters have been able to attend it. So first off, thank you for that. Please continue that. It's a gem that I think people should know more about. Later, my wife decided to change professions from journalism and finance to education. So she's now one of those teachers over at Marshall. And I also have 2 daughters that when it became time to analyze where to go to college, NIU, my wife and I both have degrees from there, so we think that's an excellent institution. Gabrielle is a junior at NIU with the Rockford Promise. My second daughter, who graduates this coming week from Auburn in the Gifted program and the Kappa program, was recruited by many other schools, but when you do the math, this program and NIU is a good fit for her and for us. We thank you very much, and I'd like to hear more about it, nationally or locally, because my advice to people that I talk to still from the Chicago area, if they're experiencing one of those changes in life where you need to kind of shift gears and analyze and where you live, Rockford, Illinois should at least be on that list because it's a great place to live, and any place that's dedicated to education is the kind of place that I want to be. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Justice. I'm super nervous. Okay. So I first heard about Rockford Promise during I'd say my end of my sophomore year, beginning of my junior year. During a lot of assemblies, a lot of counselors and teachers would just repeatedly impact the information about Rockford Promise in our heads. It was just repeatedly Rockford Promise, Rockford Promise, Rockford Promise. And so I didn't really understand the impact that Rockford Promise had until I realized it not only covers everything that FAFSA doesn't cover, but it's also filled with a community who actually cares about our education just as much as we do. I knew it completely could change the way that I approach college, and it gave me hope that I could go to school without putting a financial burden on my family. It made me even more motivated to stay on top of my academics and my community involvement. It was definitely motivating for me and for a lot of my friends, knowing that Rockford Promise could be a huge milestone. It made college feel more possible and real. It helped take some pressure off financially and push us to stay focused in school. Personally, it gave me the confidence to pursue a challenging path like becoming a medical genetic counselor. Because I knew I'd have the support behind me, among me and my friends, it kind of sparked more conversations about college and planning the future. It made higher education feel like something we could actually reach and not just dream about. For my family, the Rockford Promise Scholar means relief, opportunity, and hope. College can be expensive, and without the scholarship, we would have had to take on a lot of debt and make sacrifices that would have been hard on everyone. It's also a proud moment for us because the scholarship shows that our hard work is paying off. It gives my family a peace of mind and allows me to focus fully on my education and my goals. It really feels like a blessing and a major step forward for all of us. Something I would tell middle schoolers and incoming freshmen is to stay focused in the beginning because opportunities like Rockford Promise are real and they can change your life. They don't have to be perfect, but just stay focused and ask for help whenever they need it. And don't give up just because things are getting hard. Rockford Promise is more than just a free tuition. It's a sign that our community believes in us. If they keep their grades up and they graduate from RPS 205, this scholarship can open doors they might not have known were possible. So stay motivated, and we never know how far we can go when someone invests in our future.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Julissa Gutierrez, and I am a Rockford Promise Scholar and now graduate. Just a little bit of background, I went to Marshall Middle School myself, and I graduated from Auburn High School. Last month, I graduated from Rockford University with my degree in elementary education and endorsements in bilingual and special education, which is still crazy to say. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here today with you all and to have the opportunity to speak on the impact that the Rockford Promise program has had on me. When I first heard about Rockford Promise, I knew that I had to work really hard toward obtaining that scholarship, as it was the only way to accomplish the goal of attending college without putting a financial burden on myself or my parents. So, as you can imagine, when I received the Rockford Promise scholarship 4 years ago, both my parents and I were extremely happy. In fact, they threw me a surprise congratulations party. It was a testament to all of the work that I put in, especially in high school, along with all of the sacrifices that my parents made to make sure that I had the best education, which included moving here to Rockford. Throughout my 4 years at Rockford University, Rockford Promise provided not only financial support, but also amazing mentors who were there every semester, making sure that we had everything we needed and that we were on track to graduate. Because of the belief from my community and the Rockford Promise program, I have gone on to accomplish things such as serving in various student leadership roles, being named a Distinguished Scholar 8 times by my university, and winning the Abraham Lincoln Civic Engagement Award, which is a statewide recognition. This coming fall, I'll be pursuing my master's degree in education while working as a graduate assistant at Rockford University. Because of the community that I have built here and all of the support that I've received through things such as my internship at Patriots Gateway Community Center, employment opportunities with the Discovery Center, and of course, my student teaching experience with the Rockford Public School District, I will be returning to Rockford when I complete my master's degree to teach in the community, and with the hope of giving back to the community that gave so much to me and inspiring students that are in my same position. Not only that, but as someone with 2 younger brothers and several younger cousins in the district, I will continue to consistently encourage them to strive for greatness and to work to be a part of the Rockford Promise. Thank you.
Yeah, does anybody have any questions for our guest speaker?
I do. Sorry. Can I ask you a quick question? I know that I've heard you say that we were not able to extend scholarships to everyone that qualified this year. How do we make that right? What do we need to do?
Sure. So let me first clarify that any student who qualifies for NIU and Rockford University will receive the scholarship as long as they meet all the criteria. The locations that still have gaps in that are Rock Valley College, and then we just opened up a new opportunity with St. Anthony's College of Nursing. So really our next big piece that we're working towards is having Rock Valley College be what we call fully funded, meaning that any student who has interest in going there can receive a scholarship. So to make that happen, that will certainly require large, broad community support for that and the funding that would go with it. I'm sure you've heard about some of the more recent concern about Pell funding and how that might be changing. That certainly puts additional concerns around community college attendance. But again, we have shown time and time again as a community that when we put our heads together, when we put our hearts together, when we put our wallets together, we can make big things happen. So I think this is, no different and something that can be achieved in the next year or two.
So you do have, I know, one annual fundraising event, right? Do you do more than that, or how can we help?
Sure. Great question. Thank you for that. We do have a golf outing coming up June 27th out at Aldine. There's still openings, so please come join us. If you know of friends or any reunions happening, please have them join us. I believe it's a group from Guilford, is that correct? They're celebrating, they have a big reunion coming up, and as part of their activities for the weekend, they're going to come to our golf outing. So I think there's about 4 foursomes from that. But it's a great opportunity to get a group of friends together, enjoy some beautiful weather on a Friday afternoon, and support a really great cause. Another thing I would mention is we do have the payroll deduction through RPS. So if employees of Rockford Public Schools would like to take a little bit out of their paychecks and just do that as a charitable endeavor, that's certainly open as well.
Have you considered doing that with other employers in the community?
Yes.
Kind of like United Way does?
Yes, correct. We have had some conversations, and we're hoping to grow that program as well.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Ms. McCall? Thank you. I didn't have a question, but I had a comment. Just being a part of the process, I was on a selection committee one time, interviewing the students. I remember being in the earlier talks about this iteration of the Rockford Promise, during my role at RVC. And it's just amazing to see, 931 students. That's a real big accomplishment. And just from being there to, again, being on this interviewing committee for the first group, and we had to do it via Zoom, things like that. It's just amazing, and I appreciate what you've done and the opportunities that have been provided to the students. Oh, I did have one other question. Do you have the data that shows, like, the students who are in the program, like, their report cards? Like, do you keep their stats? So as to say, so like if you have a student that kind of falls behind and everything, is that caught, or some kids going through slipping through the crack? I want to see know what the stats are about that.
Sure. Yeah, great question. So we do have ongoing partnerships with all of the colleges so that we can stay on top of that and have alerts if students are falling below the required GPA as part of their scholarship once they're in college. For any student that falls below during one semester, they have an additional semester in order to bring that back up. Now, behind the scenes with our academic support staff, what is happening is all sorts of supports are going into overdrive, so to speak. So we really sit down to try to assess what's missing, what are the gaps, is there tutoring that's needed in one particular skill or area, et cetera. And then we walk side by side with those students to really try to increase those educational outcomes for them. We just had some information come back from Northern Illinois University for students who had been on academic recovery for this past semester. I don't remember the exact percentage, which I can get that back to you, but I believe it was like around 65 to 70% of students were able to get back into good academic standing. So we work very hard for that. We don't want to lose any students during that period.
Okay, and thank you. And I guess another thing I was alluding to was, for the 931 students, are there enough mentors? How is that being tracked and things like that?
Sure, we can always use more mentors. So freshman year, what we've kind of gone to is more of a teams model or a groups model. So there's 1 or 2 mentors for a group of about 10 to 12 students. We have found, especially coming out of COVID, kind of that group and small group model is really important and helpful for students. It gives them a handful of other faces that they know on campus, who other local students who are also Rockford Promise scholars, so that's really important. And that's been really impactful. One of the areas we've been adding on now for sophomore, junior, senior year is kind of the professional mentors, and that's a huge area of growth for us. So, you know, interested in all types and stripes of mentors who might be available and willing to serve in that volunteer capacity, because, you know, I think it only strengthens the outcome for our local students.
Thank you.
Can I just say real quick, in Kayleen's defense, her original presentation had all of that data in it. And we told her to, you know, shorten it up a bit. But there's an attachment to her presentation that it's kind of like a one-pager, and it's got a lot of more data if you want to take a look.
Yes, thank you for that.
Ms. Bennett.
So I had two questions that have been stolen, so they've already been answered. But my mentors, that was the large thing. And one, just to thank you for all of your hard work. To just be vulnerable for a second, I'm a first-generation college student, and the amount of effort it went to supporting my siblings who then went to college many years after and not having the family support, it's a lot of work. And so I think that just the community response and like the community pushing you forward and those individuals is just like, there's not enough money to equate to what that means. So any way that we can help, we are collectively as a 7 in support of you. So whatever you need, you just let us know.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Ms. Chavez.
You have a question. My question is this. I know kind of backing on what Nicole mentioned. Is there, okay, sorry. I'm the youngest of 6, and I was the first female in my family to go to college. I'm first generation Mexican American.
Yes.
So with that, I had a lot of cultural difficulties. Even though my parents wanted me to do better, it was just the understanding of that.
Sure.
How are you guys supportive or in your mentorship for that? Because it becomes a teaching level for not only for those first generation students, the understanding with their parents, but when it's from a different language, a different country, and the other cultural aspect of it, how do you guys support that?
Yeah, that's a great question, and one we're always trying to get better within, quite frankly. A couple of things. We're very careful who we hire as staff, especially advising staff directly for students and families. You know, they work with them on a day-to-day basis. And we always want our staff to look like our student population and have experienced many of the things that they have gone through themselves. So that's a very important part of our hiring process. So that's one piece of it. And then the second piece, I would say, we really try to lean on kind of the peer network that naturally happens as we add more and more students. So, you know, older siblings helping out younger siblings, and then they can also help us be advocates within that space because, you know, who knows that culture better than a sibling or a neighbor or a peer, et cetera. So we try to really lean heavily on that. And then RPS, you know, has been incredible within that space too, even, you know, services like translation, you know, as we go to contract signings, et cetera. We want to be very sure that parents feel comfortable and they understand exactly what's going on and they hear it in their language, et cetera. So again, we're trying to add multiple layers all across the experience where parents can have access to that, you know, very firsthand.
And the mentorships, is that for anyone basically in the community that's willing to participate?
Yes. So we do ask that they have a college degree so that they can, you know, helpfully guide kind of that process if there's some questions around that. And then we do have a screening process, but beyond that, you know, if you're willing and able and all of those things.
Have you made any connection to like any of the like culture groups, like for example, that do exist? Like right now there's a very strong and growing Hispanic professional community. Has there been any attempts with that, or in the African American community or Asian community?
Yes, and if you personally have connections, please, 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 I would love introductions, you know, anywhere and everywhere that you can think of. We have a community engagement coordinator who is constantly out with different student groups and different parent groups trying to let more families know about that. But I love the mentoring aspect of it as well, reaching out to those groups. We have had some, different presentations to different groups, et cetera, to try to, make them aware both of Rockford Promise as a program and then volunteers, opportunities to volunteer in the community.
Let's connect afterwards if
Okay,
you're still here.
I would love that. I would love
you.
that. Thank you.
I have one question also.
Sure.
Ms. Squirrel. You talked about the cliff, the
Yes.
5th through 8th grade.
Yes.
When in these attendance numbers, are you getting many families? I know 5th grade is probably early for people to consider college, but it's, it's necessary to be on that path to do well in high school to qualify for these scholarships. So how is your outreach to them, and how is the attendance, the feedback, the participation of those families for the 5th to 8th graders?
Yeah. Thank you. So we have had some events in middle schools which are just attended by the students because they're during the school day. We have had some additional middle school events where parents have been able to attend. For example, I think it was like 6 to 8 weeks ago, we had an event at Lincoln Middle School, and that was very well attended. Staff was shocked at how many people showed up for the event. So I took that as, quite a good thing. For that event. But we had the opportunity to have 2 different sessions where we spoke to not only the students, but also to their parents, and just let them know about the opportunities. So that's one example. And then earlier, kind of the second example is we have our community engagement coordinator position, and she is constantly going to various community groups, community events, anything from a Halloween, trick or treat event to, a Boys and Girls Club night or, something like that. So again, anytime we can get in front of students and parents within the community and get that word out over and over and over, it helps parents, finally start to grasp, hey, this is something for my student that they could take advantage of.
Well, thank you.
Yes,
and
thank
I'd
you.
also like to thank your representatives, the students who actually participated in the scholarship opportunity. You're great role models for your family and for your community. And thank you for coming to speak with us.
Ms. Haley.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Pearson.
That's okay, thank you. I just have a quick question. Sure. I understand that there is a requirement of a 3.0 GPA, correct?
Correct.
So I believe Rock Valley average may be 2.5, depending on your major. Do you foresee any leniency of percentage of students that may desire to be a recipient of Rockford Promise? Do you foresee that adjustment being made at any time to be more equitable for some students?
So just so I'm clear on your question, are you asking, would we change the GPA requirement for Rock Valley College? Is that what you're asking?
So you're the recipient of the scholarship.
Oh, okay.
So that's 3.0, correct?
So at our 4-year university options, they need to maintain a 2.5 GPA while they're in college. So it's a 3.0 to qualify for the scholarship, but while in college, 2.5. And then at the community college level, it's a 2.5 to qualify for the scholarship. But then once they are in Rock Valley College, it's a 2.0 GPA.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you for all you've done.
Yes.
And continue to do.
Right.
Ms. Bennett.
One last thing. I know I mentioned this to you previously, but for contract signings, can you for next year let us know so that way we can, we do like sign up sheets at times for things. So I don't think all 7 of us need to come to everyone, for example, but
sure.
If we would like to do that, sure, we can. I'm not in charge of anyone's schedule. Go ahead. But that way maybe somebody could be present at them all,
Sure.
or however it could work. But if you could just let us know in advance, we appreciate it.
I would love to do that. Yes, we have about 8 to 10 in 1 month's period time. So I don't know that you'll want to come to everyone, but certainly would would be happy to send that out once we have the schedule for next year.
Mr. Carpenter.
Thanks. I just want to mention I'm a Rockford Promise parent. My daughter's a just finished freshman year at NIU, and so we're very grateful. And
Wonderful.
she loves NIU, and she's really happy, or we're all really happy that she's there, and the support that Rockford Promise provides, and the community there provides. And so thank you very much, and we really appreciate it.
Yes, so welcome. Awesome.
So if there are no more questions, we will let you take your leave.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Next, we are on to our board member reflections. Do any board members have anything to share regarding any school events you've attended or any interactions you've had in the community? Chavez.
Yes, last month I attended the multicultural event at Jefferson High School, and it was really neat to see. The kids basically made the actual event. Like they made, like it just seemed like it was made for the kids or for the students and their parents, but it was made for the kids. Like the kids are performing, you know, music, and it was really neat. So I really enjoyed that. I also went to the Mercado at Barber School, and that was also very enjoyable to see the kids and the kids and the parents enjoying themselves and seeing the community come together. It was very nice. I'm a huge sports fan, so I saw the regionals for volleyball for Guilford and versus Auburn, and that was really exciting. So you'll probably see me in more of those games.
Wonderful. Ms. McCall.
Thank you. So I attended the Auburn High School Kappa Creative and Performing Arts art show. Shout out to my daughter Claire. She's in the 9th grade over there in Auburn. She had a few pieces on display. Just want to say we really have some talented students, you know, in our district, as well as we had there was a signing event for one of Auburn High School's premier players who graduated, last year. He was signing to commit to play to a D1 school at Valparaiso. Rakim Cheney, he had that on March 31st. So I wanted to recognize him on all of his achievements. And next year in the Final Four, we have to all go for Valparaiso because maybe we can get in there like that. So other than that, it's been a slow week. So looking forward to graduation this weekend. Bye.
Anyone else?
Yes, so I had an opportunity to attend RISA's award evening on yesterday, actually. So Principal Ben Stover and Ms. Butler, along with the entire team, did an absolutely phenomenal job. And it seemed like if not more than 60% of the students were awarded. And it was really good to see the family support and the energy that the students had that was really excited about completing specifically the 8th grade. So shout out to RISA and their entire team for doing an excellent job with the entire event. Thank you.
Thank you. If no one else, Mr. Carpenter.
Thanks. Just real quick, I went to East High School on Friday for an event for the newcomer students. It was called, I think, Where Am I, or About Me, or Who Am I think. Met with some great newcomer students, mostly from Tanzania and also from Yemen. Learned about their life history and the difference in their lives from their original country and from living in Rockford. And it was really inspiring and a great event. So I want to thank Ms. Griffith for inviting us and everybody at East who worked on that. Thank you.
Wonderful. If no one else, that concludes our Stakeholders Committee presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. That's my cue. I think Ms. Bennett will now lead the Performance Monitoring Committee.
Okay, thank you. So does everybody, before we start, does everybody have their agenda up? Is everybody at number 4? Got a lot going on here. So I want to make sure everyone is on the same page. There will be a test at the end. Okay, tonight we do not have any featured presentations. However, we have a significant number of contracts to approve. Ms. Chavez and I asked for our items to be put into categories because I feel it is easier to ask our questions to our representatives from the district, in addition to Dr. Jarrett, should he have anything to add, in addition to legal. So we're gonna go chunk by chunk. So the first items we're gonna talk about are for human resources. So if you have paper and you wanna write them down, if this is helpful to you. Items J, K, L, M, N, O, and P. And I can repeat them again at the end, but these are for human resources. These are primarily regarding the district's benefit packages available to employees and retirees, including leave, retirement plans, wellness program, and group life. And Ms. Crowder is here to answer any questions specific to items J, K, L, M, N, O, and P. Are there no questions that anyone has? Okay, if you decide at a later time, we can come back, but for now, we'll move on. Next is special education areas, items T, U, V, and W. These represent outside providers for staffing, therapeutic day placements, partnerships with RAMP to support project search, and accessibility software. Does anybody have any questions or discussion regarding items T, U, V, or W?
I have a quick question in regards to therapeutic day.
Okay, Jen Lawrence is here to, oh, Mike Rye is also here as well. Good evening.
Hello.
Would you please confirm the number of students that we have in therapy? Well, let me ask this way. Do we have any elementary age students in therapeutic day?
Yes.
If so, do you have the percentage?
The percentage of the elementary, I do not.
Okay, no. Can you get that?
Yep, I can do that for you.
For me. What about the middle school? Same question.
So I don't have any of for elementary, middle, or high. I know we have about 224 current students in therapeutic day right now.
Okay.
But they're all divided up.
Okay. If you could just get those numbers to me, yep. Elementary and junior high, that would be great.
Perfect.
Thank you. That's all I had.
Do you want it broken down by grade? Or by grade? Okay.
I got that.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, any additional questions for Mr. Ryan? Nope. Nope, thank you. Okay, next we're moving on to student services. This is item X. Subject.com is an online learning platform which will support our classrooms and students at JDC. I have a statement, but does anybody have questions regarding that item? Okay, recently, Ms. Lawrence provided an update of kind of the success that the Subject.com has had at the JDC. So I know that was something we were all very interested in going into last school year. So I was really happy to hear kind of in one school year, even in particular, just how successful that's been for educational opportunities for our students and kind of the overall success that's been at the JDC regarding education and kind of some different varied methods with recess, for example, outside for the first time in 10 years. So some very unique things that they're doing there, and I think that's very exciting. So does anybody have questions about item X? Nope, okay. Next, schools and special programs. So these are items Y, Z, AA, AE, and AG. Schools are required to submit plans for improvement to ISBE if receiving funds under Title I. A total award is $1.7 million. School improvement plans and learning partners are on the agenda tonight. Special program contracts represent the differentiated core resources for each program. Does anybody have any questions on items Y, Z, AA, AE, or AG? Nope, okay. Moving on, items AI, AJ, AK, AL, AM, AN, and AF are all for ed services. Annually, we renew digital instructional resources. So there are 2 bundles for digital resource renewal for elementary and secondary. These contracts ensure access to our core resources for students and teachers. Additionally, the bilingual department is adding Amplify Language Studio as a core resource for bilingual classrooms. DigiCoach monitors quality instruction. Summer professional learning contracts ensure new teachers have access to the content they need as they onboard into the district. And Zello is a dynamic platform to support college and career pathway endorsements and work-based learning. And just to add for Zello, it creates a portfolio that students can take with them, which is pretty cool. Does anybody have any questions about these items? Okay, great. We're doing so good, you guys. Okay, arts and athletics are next. Items R and AB. Rockford Area Arts Council would like to make a donation to serve as a canvas for student murals. Athletic Director Dawn Williamson is proposing a co-op for swimming and diving as well as girls golf. Does anybody have questions on items R or AB? Mr. Carpenter?
Does anybody know what the, I think that we did swimming and diving co-op. This isn't the first time this has come around, right?
Correct.
Right.
What's the current, is it the same, just renewing the same?
Yes.
I believe, yes.
Okay, I was thinking it was different schools last time. Okay, thank you.
Nope. Okay, next is operations and transportation. IMEG has proposed a scope of work to address the parking lot at Auburn High School. The district would like to renew a partnership with First Student to supplement our routes. This is for line items Q and S. Does anybody have any questions regarding those?
I had a question regarding Q. So that's the First Student proposal, and there are two in the attachment First Student proposal. There's a line there for proposal 31925 and then the 42525. That's a little bit less. So I understand. So the increase is just because of the increase in the gas mileage and maybe additional routes?
Correct, Ms. Haley. So this year we had a contract for up to 25 routes, which we did achieve. This upcoming contract, we wanted to increase that to 30 routes. So that's why the increase, plus just the typical 3% CPI that we have. So the difference between the two different columns, the 31925 and then the 42525, there's a 3,195,000 and then the 2,502,000. Why are we going? We are going with the lower amount. I saw that. What did we cut out?
So there's like about less than a month difference between the two.
No,
so
I see what we cut out. So if you go to down the column to total excess hours, we cut out the 2 additional excess hours. So we're making sure we maintain the minimum or the maximum hours. So that's so we will be providing them routes that fit within that, so we aren't doing overages.
Okay, and I saw in there that these routes will cover some of the CCEC transportation.
Correct.
And we won't have any issues with having students being transported there because of these additional?
No, correct. Yeah, we were actually looking at First Student being a good, good partner going into next year and assisting us with those additional CCEC routes.
Okay, thank you.
In terms of transportation, because we were pretty confident in First Student before, and they had an issue with hiring as well. So are they in the process of hiring, or they're working with what they have, or have you all had any conversation about a more definitive commitment?
Yeah. So actually, First Student is fully staffed, and they are prepared with the staff for 30 routes next year with additional backup drivers. They have done excellent this year. We've not had to cover any of their routes. They've covered all their own routes. This is also from last year. I think initially at the beginning of the school year, they were having some issues with drivers and their buses. They totally came in with new equipment this year, newer equipment, I should say. So they have been fabulous. Unfortunately, it has been our driver absenteeism that has caused the route cancellations as we've neared the end of the school year.
Do you foresee a possibility of a First Student covering any of our routes?
They are covering so they are covering 25 of our routes, as well as for next year, they'd be assigned 30 routes. They just haven't been able to cover, because we've only assigned them certain routes. They only had enough to cover their routes that we assigned them.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, any more questions for Mr. Phillips? Nope, okay. Next is line item, that's so challenging. Line item AD, which is for IT. These consolidated contracts represent some of the district's major operating systems. Does anybody have questions on AD? Nope, okay. Next, moving on to family and community engagement, line item A0, proposing a transfer for truancy services from YSN to the Regional Office of Education. Does anybody have questions about A0? You can take your time. Go ahead. One moment. Okay. Okay, last items H and I are for finance. Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Pearson, go ahead.
So on AO, Boone County Regional Office Education, I want to make sure I have this right, because so the background of the that's indicated in the executive summary talks about the chronic absenteeism and truancy, key barriers, academic success since 2011. The district partnered with Youth Service Network, YSN. Do we have specific data that indicates outcomes of the partnerships that we have?
Ms. Kirschman's here, and potentially she has an answer for that.
May I ask just a follow-up question? What data are you looking for specifically?
So, well, this focus on absenteeism and truancy, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am. Yes, we have lots of data that we have collected this year for our chronic absenteeism.
Okay, so I'm thinking about what was presented to us during the training from the State Board of Education, and he indicated that absenteeism is a symptom So with the family and community engagement area, what other strategies are in place to assist with the symptoms? Or have we dug into that piece of it, and how, what can we do from after learning that that is a symptom versus a problem?
That is an excellent question, and we are hosting a Family Engagement Academy next week that we've opened up for all of our liaisons to attend to. It's open to our attendance specialists, our bilingual staff, our early childhood staff. After filling it and opening it up to those staff, we've actually opened it up today to invite some of our parents in there, as well as our community organizations as well to attend, because we do recognize that it is a symptom and that we do need to do a much larger reach into our community to see what is preventing our students from coming to school, and not just looking at why aren't you here, but looking at the aversions to coming to school. Why don't you want to be here? In addition to the barriers, as well as working very closely with our partners at the ROE, which is what we're going to be doing, because they're going to be coming on to do more of the court piece of it. And the court is also moving in that direction as well, of how can we come together to not take a very punitive approach to it, but what services do we need to offer, and where is the gap at? Where's the gap, so we can take a more restorative and holistic approach to figure out what the problem is and remove the barrier, or address the aversion that the student might have to coming to school, and really doing a really deep dive into that root cause, and working closely with our MTSS team. And we are excited. We just wrapped up. We had it hot off the presses today. At our SIP days, we will be bringing to all of our school leaders a guide that we've put together in partnership with our MTSS team, a step-by-step kind of that tier 1 universal strategies of we have to address that very thing, the root cause of what do we have to get to prevent this from happening, because it is a symptom. And our dream can be to get to 0, but if we can get lower than where we are now, we have made amazing strides this year. One of our schools I was looking at this year has decreased 17%. We have had amazing gains this year, but we have a lot of work to go, and we have to get all of our schools on board with those universal strategies to come around and get all of our stakeholders on board, and our students, our families, our community partners, to recognize exactly what you're saying, that it is a symptom of a larger problem. Yes, so we are actively doing that work to make sure that we are starting next school year out in this more proactive approach and not this reactive.
Thank you. I'm just slightly concerned that at some point we may, as a district, we may make some decisions based on attendance, and I don't know. It kind of concerns me if we're going to make those decisions before we really deal with the symptoms, and it create another problem. So I would ask that we keep our hands on the pulse of that, so we can make decisions for the greater good of our students, and not create a potential problem counting a certain area out because of the attendance and or truancy issue. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Ms. Haley?
So my question was, there's the dollar amount. There's no dollar amount attached to this?
Yes, when I submitted that, it was a draft. In the contract, there is a dollar amount. I'm waiting to get the final signed copy back from the ROE for them agreeing for the final dollar amount. But I do not have that in front of me right now. But I think in the final contract that's attached to it, there is a dollar amount in there.
Okay, thank you.
It's $375,000 in the actual contract. Okay. It's on this page. I just have one thing to add to what Ms. Pearson's saying, kind of regarding figuring out it is a symptom, figuring out the root cause, and truancy interventionists really are like case managers. So they really would, meet with students, because we could do the alphabet of reasons as to why children, don't attend. And in all kinds of various things, but in a contract like this or in a partnership, like it really would be individualized and then theme-based, so we could kind of target it from lots of different ways instead of, you know, like Ms. Kirshen's saying, instead of reactive, we can have way more information to support students, so. Sorry, I don't know who was first. Ms. McCall.
I just had a comment. I like how you guys broke it down. Can you guys do it on the agenda as well? Put them in those buckets?
Yes, and we did talk about that for a future time when we have 59. No, I'm not kidding. But pretty much. Yes, we did talk about that. Thank you. I agree. That would be very easy read. We talked about it after the agenda was created, and we didn't want to create confusion that it had already been previewed by some people and then it would be updated. But moving forward, absolutely, we can do that.
Thank you.
Mr. Carpenter.
Thanks. I had a quick question. What do you think the, or can you kind of explain what the difference will be going from YSN to ROE? Like what?
Yes.
What does this do?
So the ROE will be coming in to offer court interventionist services. What will mean is that they'll go into the court and really, truly make sure that our students are having somebody there to advocate for them on their behalf, and going in as a partner with us with all of the information, and that we will also be getting back from the ROE all of the information from what is happening in court, so we can make steps forward with the entire picture. So we're making our own attendance plans and our intervention plans based on the knowledge that we're getting back from our courts, which was something that we did not consistently receive from our previous partner.
And I think like the number of students that are court involved is a very small percentage of the students that are chronically absent. Is that fair to say?
That is correct.
Okay, thanks.
I'm sorry, I had another quick question. And so on one of these line items, there was a contract to assist with attendance specialists. So how, and you did indicate, there is some indication in alleviating a task of attendance specialists, but how much more will we utilize them to address the symptoms, or if that is a part of their scope? How?
So I believe we're going down into the other agenda item that's on here.
Oh, okay. I can wait. Thank you.
I'm happy to talk about all my agenda items right now.
We can stay. I don't want to confuse. It's a whole lot going on over there.
So
I'll come back.
this is a very sophisticated process we got going on here. So the only items we haven't talked about yet are H and I. So if the line item you want to discuss is not H or I, which involves Mr. Brown, then we would need to go back. So do you know?
Yeah, we would need to go back. And
okay, that's okay.
What? To be of the 59, no, I do not. What I do know is we have a contract to alleviate that is related to the actual attendance letters. I just know what I read, Ms. Bennett, like you have like 50 million.
Yeah, it's not in this committee. That's yes. But Ms. Kirschman seems as though she's going to say.
I'm sorry, it's mine. My apologies.
I will happily come back up and talk about that when we get to.
Thank you so much. Yes. Does anybody have any questions for this committee on any of these current items that are not finance? Okay. Moving forward, items H and I. Chief Financial Officer Greg Brown is presenting the annual investment broker listing and designation of accrued interest earned, and is here to answer any questions we may have. Does anybody have any questions on H and I?
No, they're in planning and development.
I cannot wait for your committee for those questions. Okay, if nobody has any questions at this time, remember if you should review something and you should have questions moving forward, please contact our committee if necessary, or and we can direct you to anybody to get your questions answered. And that concludes our report.
Thank you. Ms. McCall will now lead the Planning and Development Committee.
Thank you. Item A, FY26 budget request, human resources, health insurance, operations, nutrition, services, transportation, athletics, fine arts, technology, accountability, and security services. Ms. Takana Crowder, Chief Human Resource Officer, will start us off with the presentation on the FY26 budget request, followed by Mike Phillips, Chief Operations Officer, and Jason Barthel, Chief Information Officer. The floor is yours, Mrs. Crowder.
We have about 9 budget presentations, so I'll go pretty fast. I'll walk through the HR budget. So this is my org chart. No changes, 5 direct reports, so no changes from last year. So my department is responsible for job postings and placement job offers, new hire appointments, in addition to what's not listed here, employee labor relations, training and development, health and wellness, and also workforce planning and headcount management. So if you look at the first slide around salaries, so we've gone up roughly about $79,000, and that is due to annual salary increases. Purchase services, which includes all HR contracts, which I'll share in the next couple of slides, we've gone up about $5,600. This includes our contracts, professional development, mileage, travel reimbursement for the department. Supplies have gone up roughly about $82, and our supplies includes all supplies for the department, all printed documentation that comes out, material that comes out from the benefits team and the training and development team, books that are ordered for training. I also budget for our retiree banquet that's actually this Thursday, and all of the gifts that we give the retirees. In this dollar amount is also included a back to school event that we do for the district office. I did not budget, $0 budgeted for non-cap and capital expenditures for next year, so that's 0. Other miscellaneous items went down $3,300, and this includes overall dues, fees, and subscriptions for related to HR and the department. So the next item is FIRM. That's our system for fingerprinting and background checks. So we background check every employee that works in the district, all of our contractors, people that are coming into the building to do construction work, subs, et cetera. So roughly going up about $9,900 for next year. And if you see Bridges Consulting as the second line, you see $10,000 there. If you go all the way to the bottom, you'll see Burke Consulting Group, the last line. So what I've done is I have reallocated the dollars from Burke Consulting and moved those up to Bridges. So I am reducing dollars for Burke going forward and moving with Bridges. I've worked with them before, and basically for the changes they have, they offer more HR tools and services that I can leverage throughout the year. So just kind of a balance out there on the budget. And next is HR Logics, and they are our unemployment tracker. So they manage all of our unemployment claims and all of our hearings. So no budget increases for next year. Frontline Technologies, that's our applicant tracking system, which we call AppleTrack, which you guys are probably familiar with that term. And also ASOP, our absence management attendance system. So roughly going up about $2,500 for next year. And we work with Power School LLC. So that's kind of the parent company. And under Power School, there are 3 products that we use. We leverage Unified Talent, Perform, and Schoology. So this next line item is around Unified Talent and Perform. So Unified Talent is our registration portal, and we track all registration. If you want to register for a class, tracking the credits that employees have is all through that. And then Perform is our performance management system. So that's all of our annual performance reviews that we do for employees. And roughly going up $1,900 for next year. The third is Schoology, and this is our system where our employees can attend online classes. So these are online facilitated classes, just like a college course, and they earn credits towards their licenses and their salary credits as well, and roughly $2,500 increase there. Public School Works is another platform, but this is all of our state mandated training is pushed out and managed through Public School Works. And there's roughly a $4,100 increase there. The next item is rental space at the local NIU campus here. And we need large meeting spaces, 3 or 4 times a school year, new teacher orientation, large in-person training programs. Typically, we've used the CCEC. Before the construction, there was like a big old space that we could use, and now with students will be there during the school year. We can probably leverage that if we need to after hours, but during the day, if we have large-scale training events, we just need to make sure we have some additional meeting space, and that's what NIU is for. So the ROI on HR is the ability to attract, retain, develop staff, and ensure compliance. So next, we're going to go through our health insurance fund. So I've invited Tanel Barnes, who's our Executive Director of Benefits, to walk through the benefit budget.
Thank you, Tanel. Okay, first we have the Allied Benefit Systems. They are our supplemental retirement administrators. And we have a variance coming into this year of $1,300. Then we have Blue Cross Blue Shield Administration, ASO fee, and we have a variance of that of $317,000. Then we have Blue Cross Blue Shield medical and dental claims, and we have a variance of that of $4.5 million. Then we have Express Scripts, who is our prescription pharmacy management for our PPO RX plan, and that's a variance of $830,000. And then we are changing our broker as of 7/1 of this year, and we've been with Gallagher Benefits for about, I don't know, going on 13 years. We went out to market for a RFP and conducted an evaluation, and we are happy to say that as of 7/1, we're going with Alliant. Okay, so Inspira is our flexible spending account vendor that we use. There's no variance in that. And then Alight Solutions is our leave of absence management or third-party administrator that partners with us, and we do have a slight variance of $14,500. Also, Reliance Standard is our life insurance carrier. We've had them for many years. They administer our group life, bless you. They administer our group life insurance, our AD&D, and our LTD, our long-term disability, and there's no variance on that. We also have HM Life Insurance. There's our stop loss carrier. They are our stop loss carrier. We have to have stop loss because we're self-funded. It basically stops the loss and protects the district in case of a catastrophic situation above $375,000. Any claim over $375,000 is protected by this insurance. It's like insurance for insurance, okay? And that's variance of $130,000. And then we have Teledocs, which many of you are familiar with during the pandemic, it became a very known thing. It still is, but since then, it has went down, and so we see a reduction of $24,000 reduction. And then we have Empower Health. Empower Health is our wellness provider, and the variance is $3,400. And we also have UW Health, which we're very excited about. It's our 2 off-site wellness facilities that are available for our PPO participants, which we have gotten a lot of positive reviews, and it's been able to service a lot of insured individuals and families of the district. Any questions?
Mrs. Bennett?
Okay, hello. I have a question regarding, it's on slide 9. So you said for Gallagher benefits that you put it out for bid, and so now we're going with Alliant. But when we put out for bid, the next thing we chose was significantly higher than?
Yeah, we did an RFQ, similar to what we're doing for our other search, is we're looking at who can provide what we're looking for as far as qualifications and not make decisions on who comes in at the lower price. So we were with Gallagher for years, and Alliant will be in a position to better serve the needs that we have as a district. And Greg was a part of it. We talked to several vendors and narrowed it down to Alliant.
And we've also expanded the scope of the services, and we think that Alliant will be able to move in a direction that we're looking to go going forward, right, Greg?
Yeah, and for all the RFQs, the prices were all right around that when they came in. Some were actually a little bit higher than that, and I think one of them was like at $180, but they were all within probably $5,000 of each other.
And we think Alliant would be a great partner in helping us to streamline costs across all of our benefit services.
Okay, that was going to be my follow-up question. If there was like 1 or 2 bonus things as to why you chose them, that would be, okay. And then same thing for Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois, Zero Card, the medical dental claims, almost a $5 million increase. Any thoughts, statements about that?
You can explain how we got to that.
Yes, well, it's basically based on trend. It's currently in the market of 6.5. It's also utilization, how we've been utilizing our plan thus far. And then we also have current high claimants that the prognosis is going to go well into the next year. So they can predict exactly what our cost is going to be, and it's also inflation.
Okay, thank you very much.
Mrs. Haley?
Okay, so my question is regarding to the facilities rental with Northern Illinois University, and I understand you did kind of address that and the need, but I am also concerned that we've put so much money into facilities renovation that we have not created a space, that we don't have to go out and rent space. I just find that concerning. So hopefully, you know, is that additional cost with NIU, is that just a placeholder, or is that an actual contract we've signed with them?
It's a placeholder because we think we may need space for some of our large in-person training events. In like new teacher orientation, we're holding it there, and summer learning is going to be held at the NIU campus as well.
Okay, so again, you know, if we're spending money for facilities renovations and new building, I think we should take into account those needs and not have to go out and rent space.
Yeah, Ms. Haley, I think going forward in future summers, the quad or the CCEC will be available for professional development as well as summer learning. It just so happens this summer we're in major renovations, which has caused us to seek other places. I do know that we have some new teacher training that'll be held at Cherry Valley and Jefferson. So we are using our own facilities also. I think Northern is really for some of our larger events that we just currently within our school footprint don't have the space to accommodate.
We also, at the department level, reach out to other, like Burpee has a great space, Discovery Center has a great space. We've partnered with the Rockford Public Library, Katie's Cup across the street. So there are some like real low-cost options that at the department level, folks find options if this room in particular isn't
Yeah,
available.
we use this building, this room a lot.
But in moving forward, the Commons at the CCEC is going to be a beautiful space. It just won't be available during the school day.
Ms. Pearson?
Well, Mr. Phillips answered my question because I was going to ask if we, had space there. But to add to the more smaller and cost-effective, just a note, Think Big is now open as well, and they have significant space there as well.
That's good to know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
sorry, Mr. Carpenter.
Sorry. So is that medical dental claims 40 million, 45 million? Is that like the total amount of all the medical claims that we expect to pay for district employees?
Yes.
That plus the, the $10 million for Express Scripts as prescriptions and
Yes.
stuff? That's okay.
Yes, it is.
Ms. Stanford?
The UW Health Employee Health Center?
Yes.
What exactly is that?
Oh, okay. Thanks for asking. It is our off-site wellness clinics or wellness centers that we opened. It will be 2 years in August. And what we do, we make available, if it can be handled at the locations, it is of no cost to the employees.
All right, so there are doctors there that
Yes,
they can
we have
see?
physicians, we have nurse practitioners, some prescriptions as far as generics and stuff are administered there. They have very flexible hours before school schedules and after.
And we take on all the cost for that. So the employees that use it, they also have our insurance.
Yes.
Correct. So it's a choice. It's a choice.
Only the employees on the PPO plan have access to the 2 medical center locations and not the high deductible plan.
But I think it's noteworthy to say that when employees go to Rockford Public Schools 205 wellness centers, what we in essence have done is taken an approach that several like entities have that basically cuts out the increased costs that we experience when we go through a larger carrier. We don't have to pay the contract fees and stuff of that nature. So the ideal is to promote and educate the current population so that they will participate. And as time goes on, we should see a very good return on our investment.
So you're saying that our costs on the insurance side will go down because we're providing this other alternative
Yes,
choice?
because they're not going through directly with the insurance. If there's something that they can't be taken care of at one of our locations, off-site locations, then they go right back to the insurance carrier's plan design. But this is the way that many employers, like entities, are combating the high cost of insurance.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Bennett? I'm sorry, wait.
She was first.
Ms. Bennett?
Thank you. Since we're talking about this, I actually have a question about new employees.
Yes.
So would there be a time, it's my understanding currently, if a new employee comes and they need a new employee screening or whatever that's officially called, that's not something that they can do at the UW Health clinic, that they have to do that on their own? So would there ever be a time that when we're extending an offer to somebody, they need a screening before employment, that we would pay for that and that could be provided there?
I think that is something that we're considering
Okay.
going forward, and it is something that is embedded in the original RFP for the growth potential.
Okay, yeah, I just think that'd be just another added bonus of something that, if we're asking somebody to do it as a condition of their employment, that then that would kind of be our responsibility to pay, because I know other employers do that too.
Yes.
But I know several individuals who've used the clinic and they think it is awesome. Their children can use it, their significant others. So yeah, that's great. Thank you.
We get a lot of good feedback. Do you by any chance know the percentage of employees that take advantage of our locations?
I don't know offhand, but I can definitely get those numbers for you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, actually, I can answer that one.
Thank you.
There's about 1,100 of employees / dependents that currently utilize the clinic right now. So we have really a high percentage of people that are actually engaged in utilizing the clinic now. And that has gone up from literally a year ago when maybe it was about 250 or 300. So it takes a while for this to catch on, but once it catches on, the volume of the procedures and visits that actually go through there are far, far more than what, you know, we would see if they were going to primary care as well, because people are utilizing it because there's no out-of-pocket cost.
Right.
And then we're not incurring, you know, the primary care physician charges and all those kinds of things. And they can actually get, you know, basic generic prescriptions filled there at no cost, and that's included in what we pay UW for the total cost of the services too. So, you know, we're really starting to see it pick up momentum, like they've said. So it's been a real net positive. So.
Yeah, that's pretty significant growth.
Huge.
So for clarity, the high deductible plans cannot take advantage of that?
No, unfortunately, at the moment, we're exploring that, but the reason why at the current moment they cannot is because of the fact that the IRS has a first dollar deductible requirement. And what that means is that people that are on the high deductible health plan have to meet their deductible before they can get zero out of pocket, especially if you have an employer like we are that provides such a generous health savings account. So the IRS has restrictions on how much we can give away. And so we're working to develop a possibility if we can create a menu, if you will, of certain co-pays that are aligned with what the government will allow. But we have to we have to measure twice and cut once, because if that's not done correctly, we can have some issues with the IRS.
Absolutely.
So we're reviewing that.
So, and the PPO can't participate because they could possibly not be in the network, or can they?
No, they can, but they
can participate.
And the PPO is the largest insured population that we have, and everyone that is eligible and has elected to participate in the PPO plan, they have free reins to go to the 2 locations. It's available only to the PPO participants right now.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. So individuals, say for instance, an individual that only uses this facility.
Yes.
Because even with the PPO plan, you have your deductible and out-of-pocket maximum, correct?
Correct.
So will there ever be an opportunity that, okay, let me ask this way, because there's, hypothetically, if there was a increase in insurance premium,
yes,
could there simultaneously be an incentive for there not to be an increase utilizing our facilities?
Yes, actually, it's interesting that you mentioned that. We just completed our open enrollment, and we saw quite a few people move over from the high deductible health plan over to the PPO because they saw the advantage of not having the deductible and, like Greg said, the out-of-pocket costs. And plus, it's about preventative care. So many people wait until they can afford the deductible and out-of-pocket. Now people have no reason why they should prolong care that could result in getting something early that would not result in the district having to pay for a claim down the road, or an employee not knowing their actual health or their numbers. So, yeah, that was a great question.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you. Mr. Phillips?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. So, Operations Department, there is primarily no changes, but I will note at the bottom, I am working with 2 new teams. That's athletics, the director, which is Dawn Williamson, and director of fine arts, Melissa Wolf. Our operations highlights, I'll just highlight a few here. Our facilities flooring team has regrouted the pool basins at Guilford and Auburn high schools, saving us approximately $34,000 in contractor fees, which is huge, having that craftsmanship and that ability in-house. I also mentioned that we met our 3-year financial goal, and as far as completing our ESSER 2 and ARP ESSER grants last September, which was a huge lift from the design all the way through the construction. And lastly, I always like highlighting our distribution team. They've removed or recycled about 74,000 pounds of obsolete electronics and 120,000 pounds of paper and cardboard throughout this year. Our salaries and benefits, this is going to be a common theme as I go through the budget. The variance identifies our collectively bargained and non-certified staff increases. Purchase services is slightly down this year. We had several contracts that ended, and we went out for competitive bids and came in lower on many of those contracts. We've had an uptick in supplies, and that is specifically electricity. As you can imagine, we now air condition 100% of our schools, and so that we're going to see an uptick in our electricity, as well as we're bringing on our solar fields as we move into the later part of FY26. So we're actually going to see some savings on what we're paying cost per kilowatt hour, but just overall usage has went up. Also in there is some increase in furniture costs as we increase class sizes or the need for classes or just staff needs. We have to provide furniture. Our non-capital, this is purchases under $5,000 has went down significantly. And this year primarily is computer replacements, some iPad replacements. Capital-wise, that has went down also, but we are doing some significant projects at Jefferson High School. We'll be replacing the elevator. We'll be replacing industrial fans at the Auburn field houses, as well as the Jefferson gymnasium, replacing the fence at the West football field, and we'll be adding some fencing around the playground at Rolling Green, and a slight decrease in our other miscellaneous. So we have a total variance this year of $3,381. I'll just go through some of our bigger contracts, point out on this slide, GSF, that's our custodial services contract across the district. Just want to highlight that's ending in FY26, so we will go out to bid. We'll advertise that probably December or January and want to select that and bring that forward for board consideration in the January, February timeframe. RSP Associates and Flow Analytics. RSB takes care of our student attendance boundaries on any changes on the website, so it allows our families to go on, type in their address to find out what school attendance zone they're in. The main reason for the increase this year is for Flow Analytics, not only doing our enrollment analysis, but also our student attendance boundary work that will be starting here shortly. Highlight here is Constellation New Energy, our electricity, as well as our gas are really our two big expenditures here, as well as our general grounds and lawn mowing that we have across the district. We have approximately 785 acres that we maintain. Helm on our energy management services, the board just approved that contract last month. And then I will highlight ClearPath. Last year, we added GPS to all of our district vehicles. So that's a new contract as we enter into this fiscal year. I'd like to highlight the top here, distinctive roofing. That has went down approximately $50,000, and I see that continue to reduce. This is our roofing maintenance and repair, and as you all know, we've replaced a number of roofs across the district. We have several roofs that we're replacing this summer, so we'll continue. While they will do annual checks, the repairs will drastically reduce. Let's see, these are mainly our software subscriptions. I do want to highlight that at the bottom, our artificial turf maintenance. That is no longer TurfX. The board just approved UTC Global. That went out to bid, and they were awarded that at the last board meeting. This takes care of all of our maintenance as well as our concussion impact testing that we do on an annual basis. FMX is our work order and preventative maintenance work order system. And just highlighting that we have some new contracts that we'll be bringing on and bidding here very shortly. That's bleacher inspections across the district as well as emergency light inspections and repairs. So we'll move on to Fund 60 here. Purchase services, that has went down primarily because IFS, Integrated Facility Solutions, who we were working with on managing as our owner rep for the HVAC upgrade projects, they are no longer with us. But we are using Ullman Ernest Martin as a project manager for some capital projects as well as life safety projects. That was a contract that the board approved last month. And then our capital projects for $36 million are primarily our facilities master plan projects. So our College and Career Education Center renovation, work at Gregory, Marshall Elementary School, IB at Conklin addition. I do want to point out that the STEAM 6th through 8th grade renovation at West, we're doing all that work in-house. So painters, carpenters, electricians doing all that work. And then just our contracts here, noting that DLR Group Facilities Master Plan was completed last year. We have our project manager, Ullman Ernest, identified here. And then the top one, Horton Group, that's our builder's risk that we have in place for all of our construction projects. Our Fund 92, which is our life safety fund. Once again, the salary variance there is our collective bargaining and certified staff increases, but that has decreased slightly because we reduced a project manager who had some dollars within that bucket. Purchase services, this includes our project manager, as well as TEM Environmental. They take care of all of any environmental testing we do, as well as asbestos planning for removal. And then we've got about $5.9 million in capital projects this year, and that's primarily roofing replacements, Auburn, McIntosh, Rolling Green, Ellis, and Welsh being the biggest ones. And then our life safety contracts. SMG is our fire alarm. They do all of our annual testing and maintenance. I mentioned TEM and also our project manager. And then our return on investment, creating spaces that promote learning, collaboration, and social health. We control exposure to risk and provide support to all schools and departments. So I'll stop here and take any questions we have on this and in the operations before moving on.
Ms. Stanford?
I have a couple questions. What's the reasoning behind athletics and fine arts moving to operations?
Wow.
So one of the things that we've really wanted to find the right home for athletics and fine arts. And one of the things that we felt was important was to give full attention to the operational needs that these departments face, and knowing that we're in the middle of a pretty substantial facilities master plan where there's investment in those facilities. And so Mr. Phillips and I both kind of taken it upon ourselves. He is supporting on that front, and I'm really kind of rolling up my sleeves to be engaged with some program improvement. And certainly this is a program that you could make the case could be located in multiple places. We've had it tied in with the communications team because of the importance of the community visibility around athletics and fine arts. We've also had this located in the core academic portion of things. And so I'm sure the new superintendent will have his or her own thoughts about where this should be, but it was really important to me that our schools team be totally focused on academic improvement. And I felt like Mr. Phillips and I could give additional attention to the needs for programmatic improvement for athletics. So that was why we made the change. And certainly something I'm sure will be examined by other leaders. And it's been in 3 different places, but I do believe Mr. Phillips and I are in the best place to give this the maximum attention that it deserves.
Okay, thank you. My other question is, why the reason for the significant increase in the grounds maintenance and lawn mowing? It's almost 50% increase. That was on, I'm not sure what page that's on.
Sorry.
Page 19.
So this was recently bid too. So this was a new bid bringing in new, well, they're the same landscape people. We did expand their services a little bit as far as maintaining some landscape beds also across the district. We've increased our mowing acreage. If you recall, we've added additional property at Lathrop and at Conklin here. So that is in that increase. Also reflected in that increase would be the CCEC property that we hadn't been mowing prior.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Phillips. Mr. Bartel?
Oh, nope, I'm not.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, you got me for a few more. Let's see here. So we'll move on to athletics. And our highlights: create and facilitate elementary and middle school athletic seasons, provide athletic opportunities at all levels for our students during the summer break, offer coach education through mandated trainings, coaches clinics, and guided program assessments, and build community within RPS 205 in the city of Rockford itself through our events. And I would like to highlight that Dawn just hosted a track clinic over at Auburn High School here a few weeks ago that was very well attended. So our budget summary, once again, kind of that same story with our variance in salaries and benefits. That's just our non-certified staff salary increases. Purchase services, there's a slight increase. This includes our athletic training and ambulance services. If you recall, we just approved OSF as our athletic trainer, and that's really the primary reason for the increase there. Supplies have decreased slightly. This primarily is supplies for our camps, shirts, uniforms. Also, there is some money in here for equipment repair across the district. Detail of contracts, mentioned OSF as our athletic trainer, and we see the increase there year over year, as well as the increase in the ambulance service. In our return on investment, students must meet academic and attendance goals in order to participate in our sports. Sports help kids to feel a sense of belonging and cope with trauma and anxiety, and we provide support to ADs, coaches, and administrators as appropriate. So I'll take any questions on athletics.
Ms. Stanford?
Me again. Besides Dawn, who would fall under the salaries here?
Abby Compton, okay. And then we also have some coordinator positions at the after-school coordinator positions at the elementary and middle school.
So like the high school ADs, that's in the school's budget,
That's
right?
correct.
Thank you.
Ms. Pearson?
I just have a quick question. For our athletic doctor or for OSF, that
The athletic trainer?
yeah, the trainer.
Yep.
Yeah. Did that go to bid?
It did.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Pearson, let me clarify. It was actually a request for proposal, similar, but you're looking at price, but other parameters also in making that selection.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we'll move on to fine arts. Highlights enrichment of student learning, support of teacher growth, and enhancement of core content curriculum, recruitment, retention of quality staff through mentorship and coaching, professional development opportunities for all of our fine arts contents. Once again, what I wanted to highlight here is, and we saw it in the internal, external stakeholders, was coordinating with a local artist as well as our middle school art students to do that mural over at the retaining wall at Hillman, which was a very successful event. Salaries and benefits. This is primarily Melissa's salary as well as her staff assistant. Under purchase services, this includes funds to send 40 participants per high school to the Illinois Theater Festival at ISU, as well as our RSO Spring Education Concert for elementary schools. In supplies and materials, this is primarily materials and equipment for K through 12 visual arts, music instruments, theaters, light and sound, dance apparatus equipment. Don't ask me what that is, but I will learn. Let's see. As far as our contracts, we have our accompanist services, clinicians, and rentals for the Hall of Fame and all city events. That has went down slightly from last year. And then our return on investment, create events and programming to foster community engagement, connect teachers to community and professional resources, and support fine arts teachers, building administration, and staff. So I'll take any questions on that. Who would have thought a construction guy would be talking fine arts?
Brave new world. Any other questions? Okay,
so we'll move on to nutrition services. Highlights our kitchen equipment bid. We have a 5-year plan that we've established, and it's summer of 2025. We have several kitchens that will be receiving new equipment. And if anybody has a question about that, I will get those to you. For some reason, I lost the what those schools were. Our breakfast cart program, which is breakfast in the classroom, we have brought on some additional people this year, Riverdale, McIntosh, Westview. Prior to that, we were doing breakfast in the classroom at Constance Lane and Welsh. That has been a very successful program. Colleen and her team continue to go out and talk to the principals to try to encourage that. It really increases our participation. I think there were some concerns early on about, is this going to make messy classrooms, other concerns through teachers, but it really has been a good program. And we've really leaned on the principals that have enacted this to help us promote it. Our it's our Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program grant. This was primarily at Constance Lane and Westview, and we are expanding this next year to Haskell, Lathrop, Rolling Green, and Marshall Middle School. So Colleen has reached out to all schools. This is a grant that provides an afternoon snack, whether it's a fresh fruit or a vegetable, think carrots or celery, to our students. And like I said, we had some additional schools that had kids that wanted some additional food later in the day. And then just highlighting our annual student tastings. This year we tried out dumplings, chicken egg rolls, and chow mein noodles. So we'll start, of all of our departments, the only one, we have a revenue department, if you can believe that, and that's our nutrition services. So I'll start with our Illinois Free State. We see an increase there, a slight increase. What I want to point out is the state does provide about 4 cents per meal for reimbursement. Our main reimbursements come from the USDA, and that's through our school lunch program and our school breakfast program. And we get reimbursed approximately $4.54 per meal for lunch and $2.84 per breakfast. And Colleen had an excellent article in the the superintendent update last week. And just want to reference, we serve approximately 18,000 lunches per day, which equates to about 3 million throughout the year, and 10,278 breakfasts, which is a little over 1 million a year throughout the year. So we produce a lot of good food for our students. Let's see, our CACFP, that is our daycare at Roosevelt, and just talked to Colleen a little bit about that today. We have about 5 students that participate in that program, and that could be a breakfast, it could be a lunch, or it could be a snack, depending on when they arrive at Roosevelt for the day. Catering, this is just the nutrition services will cater certain students or staff events throughout the year. And then the student sales is our a la carte at our middle school and high schools. In our budget summary, once again, salary and benefits, a variance there, and that's our collective bargaining agreement and non-certified staff increases. Purchase services, this is, let's see, primarily the increase this year is we've shifted some additional chargebacks from our facilities. So think utilities, cleaning services, as well as garbage to nutrition services, because they use a lot of those services. So just making sure that's evenly distributed across the budgets. Supplies, as our participation goes up in our lunch and breakfast, our supplies continue to go up too. But we're also seeing additional costs with tariffs and things of that nature. And then I'll just point out our capital, $700,000. That is actually our kitchen equipment replacements for this year. And now I found that. So I'll just list a few of those schools. So Beyer Barber, Ellis, Froberg, Lewis Lemon, Washington, Eisenhower, Flynn, Kennedy, Lincoln, West, Jefferson, and Haskell are all getting some equipment that is being replaced, whether that's steamers, combi ovens, reach-in refrigerators, those type of items. Details of contracts, Mueller-Pinehurst being one of our biggest ones. That's our milk. And our return on investment, academic success through proper nutrition. I'll take any questions.
Ms. Haley?
As far as the Illinois Free State, I know that's Illinois funded.
Yep.
The NSLP.
That's our National School Lunch Program and our National Breakfast Lunch Program. That's funded through the USDA.
Do you expect is that gonna?
So we continually watch that. We have not seen any changes at this point. I'll look at Greg to see if he's heard anything lately, but I haven't seen anything yet.
So right now we know we're good at least through September 30th, because this is actually part of the Farm Bill.
Yes.
And the Farm Bill was extended last year for 1 more year through September 30th of this year. They're going to have to negotiate a new Farm Bill. And so really a lot of it's going to be dependent on what the new Farm Bill looks like. We already know that they've started to propose cuts to like SNAP benefits and things like that. We don't really know at this point whether something's going to come down on the National School Lunch Program or School Breakfast Program or not. The one thing that we have heard, and our school district qualifies for what they call the community eligibility provision, which allows us to give all of our students free breakfast and free lunch. The barrier to get into the community eligibility provision is actually somewhat low. So there's probably districts that really don't need to be in it, that are in it and taking advantage of it to be able to feed all of their students. And we think before they would make like massive cuts to the community eligibility provisions, they'd actually raise the bar to maybe just kick some of the schools out that probably are just fine not being on community eligibility provision, and then reserve it for the school districts that truly are benefiting from the program, you know, entire district-wide. So we think that that's probably more likely, but a lot of it's going to depend on whether we get a farm bill done.
Okay, thank you so much. I just had one other question, and I think the daycare, the CAC, you said that's at Roosevelt?
That's at Roosevelt, correct.
And what's the day, is that just for Roosevelt students?
It is for our alternative students there
Okay.
yep.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Okay,
right.
one more,
Let's
last
keep
one,
going.
transportation. So highlights: maintain optimal district fleet readiness by minimizing vehicle out of service time, develop and execute CHAMPS-based bus driver training module in public school works, and complete Sterling Alley electrical upgrades to facilitate a new high-efficiency bus wash installation that was just recently completed. Salaries and benefits. This variance reflects all of our collective bargaining and non-certified staff increases. Our purchase services, we see our increase there. That's primarily through our Sunrise and First Student contracts that we have. Supplies. Charles, being new to the department, did an excellent job of really going back over 4 years of data to take a look at what our actual spends were. We identified that we could really reduce some areas, and that's what we've done. The other thing we did is do some pre-purchasing going into before next fiscal year. There was a company going out of business that provides us our brake rotors for all of our buses. So we bought a load of brake rotors, which is actually, it was a good purchase for us. So here's details of our contracts. As I mentioned, Sunrise, they primarily do our special education and EC transportation. First Student is helping us with our regular student routes. I mentioned that we are increasing from 25 routes to 30 next year. Then our next big expenditure is diesel fuel. And that's actually went down, and I think that was because we recently had done a bid on that. I don't know really there's anything to highlight there, just some additional contracts. And then our return on investment, helping make a difference in children's lives by safely delivering them to and from school. I'll take any questions.
Ms. Pearson?
Yes, so our drug testing, can that be done at our facilities?
No. Well, I don't, but I will answer that question. I'll ask and get back to you on that.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
Ms. Haley?
Tongue-tied.
For the capital expenditures, what does that entail?
I'm sorry. Thank you for asking that. So last year we did not purchase any new buses, and this year we plan on purchasing approximately 8 to 9 new buses. Our average, just kind of a highlight, our average age of buses is less than 10 years. So we do maintain an excellent fleet. So that's what this year's capital expenditures are.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Ms. Stanford? Okay. Ms. Pearson?
Thank you. Some time ago, there was talk about electric buses, and there was a grant available. Have you all revisited that?
Yeah, so we originally submitted for that EPA grant, and the purpose of that grant was to provide urban districts with vehicles, low-emission vehicles. Unfortunately, when they rolled that program out, most of those buses were delivered downstate to rural areas, which made no sense to me. But anyway, we have not submitted since that time. And, you know, just it's such a new technology also. And as I've been reviewing data, still isn't a reliable source, especially in our weather conditions.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Bartel.
All right, I'll try to bring this one home here. All right, I'll be presenting 3 budgets, ultimately for 6 departments tonight for technology, security, continuous improvement, and accountability. This is an overview of my director overview. 2 things to note. One thing to note specifically, in October, continuous improvement and accountability fell under my reporting structure here, and that was as of October. Highlights, technology services is comprised of 4 departments. We cover from the end user support out in the buildings and the administration building to training on digital applications. We also maintain the IT security, making sure our systems are safe and secure and up and running for the district. And we also support the systems for the district as well. Security services is really our support for our annual training, drill compliance, our district safety security design, also managing the school resource officer and the guard programs for the district. Our continuous improvement and accountability departments really cover all of our logistics and data, surveys, assessments, and then school reporting as well, state reporting as well. I'll be touching on the technology services budget first. This is our overall salaries and benefits, just cost the annual compensation increases. You'll see a significant increase in our purchase services, and that's really for 3 different reasons. One of those is of our 58 contracts that we do maintain, 21 of those are IT security agreements. We captured 3 months of those IT security agreement contracts in ARP ESSER last year. That is now captured in Fund 10. Another piece of that is some additional licensing related to cameras and access control systems for our CCEC for next year as well. For supplies, you'll see a slight increase on that, and that is primarily due to our transition from Lenovo Chromebooks for our students to Dell Chromebooks, and how the warranty cost is captured in, instead of what we pay for it in the first year, it's a 4-year warranty that's captured every year. This will be more in line with what we'll be paying on an annual basis for those Chromebooks. For non-capital, you see a significant decrease there. That's just wrapping up some significant projects that we've been working on for the last 5 years. That is cell repeater systems for our buildings. That's also smartboard replacements and life cycle planning for those particular things in our buildings. In addition to some network infrastructure pieces that are getting finished up as well as our digital clocks and PAs that we replaced some old systems for those in our buildings as well. Then you see a slight increase in capital as well. That's just really for network infrastructure for CCEC. Overall, we came in under on the technology services budget by about $38,000. The next several slides will be our contracts kind of broken down in groups based on what they are. These are our business operations systems here. One thing I'll point out on this one is the increase for our UKG, which is our timekeeping payroll system, and that's primarily due to new time clocks that we put in this last year, and that $11,000 is associated with the support and maintenance for 96 clocks that were deployed. These contracts are our student resources slides here. One thing I'll just point out on this one is our workbook online library resource. That is something that we did not carry in our budget in the past. That was carried in the librarian budget, which was pulled into my budget this past year as the Educational Technology Department provides support for our elementary librarians. We were able to clean that contract up some to reduce some costs there. These are tech and our development or support contracts here. On this one, I'll point out device repair on Chrome Care, you'll see a significant decrease there. We're pretty proud of that work and what Director Andrew Lippert's been able to do there, and to see some reduced cost in that. We went from about 11% breakage rate down to about a 6.8%. That's about 3,100 devices a year to 1,900 of our 28,000 devices. And we've done a program called Chrome Care and through that warranty, which will help us pay for some of those costs. So that's been a very steep decrease, and as we continue forward, we see that continuing to decline for us. These are our telephony and communication tools. I'll point out on this one, our telephone service contracts, as we see a significant decrease on that. And that's primarily cleaning up and terminating a lot of our legacy phone lines, our plain old telephone system lines, and changing those over to IP-based phone lines, which save us some significant cost. These are our compliance and reporting software. Not a lot of change here on this one. We just cleaned up some contracts. These are our IT security and backup contracts. I will point out the IT security agreements. That is start on there. That is actually 21 contracts. We don't show all of those to show our threat actors, our playbook. But again, going back to that, you'll see that increase largely due to the additional 3 months that was captured in ARP ESSER last year, as we rounded out in September of that ability to fund that last year that we had to pull into our Fund 10. And then I also want to touch on the internet security vendors. You do see a significant increase there. That is primarily due to the CCEC fiber build out. So we have infrastructure to provide internet services at that building, and then also picking up some costs for McIntosh and Kennedy fiber as we redesign that for the construction that's going on at McIntosh this summer. These are just some of our miscellaneous contracts, nothing significant here. You will notice kind of a shift with the help desk dashboards and ticketing system. We were able to combine that into one system as opposed to two, so that's why you see those dollars move into the help desk ticketing system. These are not captured in my budget specifically, but we do oversee these contracts, and I just wanted to share this so you can see collectively through the district with the copier usage. We do have 186 copiers across the district, and this is what this costs the district as a whole. It is captured in department budgets as well as school budgets. And then our AT&T FirstNet is our cellular contract. We did a lot of cleanup work on that and getting rid of some unneeded cell devices. A big chunk of that, of the devices, are for bus tablets that we use for the different bus software services, so they have internet on the buses for route planning and things like that. I'll take a pause there on the IT, the technology services budget, to take any questions.
Ms. Pearson?
I just have a general question in regards to Evolve that I don't know if it affects the budget. Well, obviously it would, the servicing. But I think that it would probably be in our best interest to have the Evolve anytime schools are open for service. And I noticed it wasn't on, and there was no staff there at Jefferson last night for the recess. So is that a budget concern, or?
It's not. I'm working with Director Fred Deal on really looking at some of our gaps as far as how we can better provide support and also help train and give some best practices to the buildings, and that's Evolve, and that's many different things that we've kind of noticed this year. We've kind of got a findings and observations to really help those schools provide that. It's something we've talked about for a lot of our sporting events, but also just when the buildings are open at night and making sure we're securing doors that aren't through the Evolve systems, and many different things, and we're kind of putting a plan together for that.
Okay, thank you.
If there are no other questions on technology services, I'll move into security services. These are a little bit shorter. This is the security services budget. Same thing with salaries and benefits, just a slight increase there. You'll notice an increase in purchase services that is primarily due to the security guard contract, which we will see on the contract slide, and I'll share a little bit more on that. And we were able to shave some costs on some of the non-capital items. These are the security services detail of contracts here. We'll point out that the alarm monitoring, we did see a decrease in that. That's the response to buildings when the alarms go off after hours and things like that. And we've seen some decrease in those responses. As I mentioned, we did have an increase with our security guard contract by about $200,000. We did go out to bid for this. We saw an hourly cost slightly increased, but we also added 4 additional guards to be able to service the CCEC for next year. You'll see a decrease in our Zero Eyes brandished weapons detection. That's a software on our cameras. We did take advantage of a 5-year, multi-year contract to realize those savings, which we will realize for the next 5 years. It's a fantastic system, and it's a set it and forget it force multiplier for us. And then you'll see a slight increase for evolved weapons detection. That cost is capturing the cost for 2 new units, which will go in at the CCEC for the student entrance and the employee entrance to be similar to what we're doing at the high schools now. And I'll take a moment for any questions for security.
Ms. Bennett?
I have 2 questions. Do we know when we would assess on whether or not to have evolved systems at our middle school level?
Yeah, we've had discussion about it. It is a significant expense, so it's trying to balance what we want to do there. We do have some other things that we're doing at middle schools right now in the absence of Evolve. However, again, it is at the moment we're figuring out like how can we do this, because it is significantly cost prohibitive when we're multiplying, because we're paying about $648,000 for the basically the 5 high schools in the CCEC, and multiply that by the 10 middle schools will be significantly expensive. So it's something we need to evaluate and figure out if that's worth the expense to move forward on.
Okay, and then my second question is, if we were to do vape detection systems, would that fall under this budget and kind of in supplies for this, or would that be in something else?
We do have a little bit in this budget. We actually did advance purchase. We had some additional dollars this year, 162 vape detectors, which should be coming in very soon, which will go in the secondary, so 6 through 12 bathrooms. So we can look at a process to be able to open some of those back up.
And how many did you say that was?
162.
162.
Yeah. And that'll be a project that'll be going throughout the summer and preparing as we roll, and we'll kind of roll it out over next year, because we want to work with the buildings as we roll that out, because it's probably going to potentially be an increase in discipline, so we want to get them ready to go for that.
And like any training or anything?
Absolutely.
Okay. That's all. Thank you.
Okay.
Ms. Stanford?
What is police support?
That is our school resource officer program. We have 10 school resource officers from the city of Rockford, and that's actually on the agenda here tonight too.
Thank you.
Ms. Haley?
Just a point of clarification. With the purchase services, does that include that security guards?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. If there's no questions, I'll move on to continuous improvement and accountability. Salaries and benefits. You'll see a substantial increase in salaries and benefits on continuous improvement and accountability, and that's a lot of personnel movement. When we disbanded the process improvement department and shifted accountability under my org structure, we moved 2 full-time employees, which were process auditors that reported through the process improvement. We shifted 1 full-time employee, which is our state reporter, if you will, from my information services team to this team as well, because it was better aligned. And then we also shifted a vacancy from IS that wasn't filled, and we had a hard time filling, which we were able to pick that up with some contract hours, significantly cheaper, and took those dollars and created a manager of process improvement, which we did have to a degree, but we didn't have the funding in this particular budget, and that's why you see that significant variance there. As far as purchase services, that $104,000 increase is something we'll touch on tonight, and I know Ms. Pearson will have questions about, and I'm sure Maureen will answer, and that's for the school status attend. While we did pick it up in the continuous improvement and accountability budget, just to get it on here, it will eventually shift over to Marine's budget. And then you'll, just a slight increase in supplies here. Here's the detail of contracts. We have our Let's Talk subscription and our management surveys. No change there. Our K-12 growth assessments, NWEA math. We did have a slight decrease there. That is a system that will go away next year because we do have are using STAR going forward. But there was a multi-year contract on there, so we're still carrying that cost. And then, as I mentioned, the $105,000 for school status attend. This is the return on investment for all the departments I just mentioned here. Again, keeping our systems up and running and safe for our students and staff, providing application support and user training and educator training, safe and secure buildings, support for state accountability, mandated assessments and feedback structures, and then data analysis, AROI, and state reporting. And I'll take any questions on continuous improvement and accountability.
Any questions? Okay, seeing none, thank you.
Thank you.
Before we move on to the next topic real quick, we've been going at this for about 2.5 hours, so if anybody's interested in taking a break, I would take a motion to recess for 10 minutes.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
All right, voice vote is fine. I think are all in favor? Aye. All right, we're going to reconvene the meeting. We are going to have Dr. Brown's presentations on items B and C of this committee. He'll present those in 2 weeks at our regular board meeting. But I'll turn it back over to you, Ms. McCall, for item D, I guess. Please.
We will now move on to item D, DMG PRISM proposal. Dr. Brown and Jason Bartell will discuss a DMG prioritizing resources and initiatives for strategic management, PRISM plus proposal.
So I'll just touch base on a high level and just take any questions you might have. This is a great opportunity for us to be able to partner with DMG once again with a strategic initiative that will allow us to look at a lot of and catalog all the initiatives that the district is doing, time, resources, cost, and be able to quantify that, and then just find out what's high cost, low impact, and we'll be able to make some strategic decisions on potentially moving away from things that just aren't working or just not generating things going forward. The look at this is great timing as well as we look at moving towards a new strategic plan as well as a new superintendent, and even just a few weeks ago when we sat down in the board retreat talking about some of the ISB stuff and potentially a board's vision, there's not going to be new revenue dollars coming into the district and probably less going forward. We need to be able to clear up in some of those earmarked dollars to really use that towards what that new strategic plan and universal goals looks like. So this opportunity will be a multi-month process that we'll use to be able to do that, and we'll be able to report back through the planning committee, either on the board floor, committee of the whole, or through the superintendent's updates.
Ms. Stanford?
I have a couple of questions about this. One is, are they going to be evaluating any of the 59 things that we were just talking about, Ms. Bennett's committee, that we are going to be approving next week or in 2 weeks? Is that the kind of things that they're going to be looking at?
Potentially that and many more things, different processes and things that we've had in place. So in short, yes.
Mrs. Stanford, and I just want to point out, I really think this is an ideal time. Mr. Barthel talked about this, but really what we'll be doing is looking at what we spend our money on in terms of not only money, and so yes, some of the 59 items could be part of that, but also things that we commit to that we spend time on. And when 80% of your budget is people, then what we spend our time on. So not only will we be looking to perhaps, do some trimming of actual dollar savings, we may also be able to free up opportunity cost of people's time to do things as well. But I think the idea will really be taking a look at most of what we do, making sure it's aligned with really measurable outcomes and that we think we're getting return on investment for those outcomes, and then finding some opportunities to scale some things back. Couple opportunities that Mr. Barthel talked about are really on point. One, new superintendent is going to have things he or she wants to work with the board to invest in. When you do a community strategic planning process, as Mr. Barthel said, that will also lead to increased costs. And I do think it is likely that revenue will be very flat. Local revenue will be able to perhaps increase slightly, but anytime you do that, that impacts your local tax base. And then you look at state revenue. They squeezed out evidence-based funding one more time, but they already shaved off a little bit of it, the property tax relief part of the grant. And they really had to hustle to balance that budget this year. And then federal is a risk as well. So I think this is a huge opportunity for us to set the stage for the new strategic plan, new superintendent, not only with money, but with opportunity costs, with more focus. If we get spread too thin, it's good for an organization every 5 or 6 years to do something like this, because with good intentions, we add stuff over time. And whether it are some of the things we're approving as annual contracts, or whether it's just stuff that is a big part of what we do, and looking, is there a better and more efficient way to do that? That's all going to be on the table through this project.
So it'll be through all departments, not just, okay, so for a $150,000 price tag, it's not something that we could do in-house? We don't feel like we could do this in-house?
The problem with doing it in-house is you get emotionally invested in the work you're doing. If we do, Dr. Brown does ask us to do that, and we do cut a substantial amount out of our budget. But I think the reason they believe there can be a kind of a 10X return on investment potentially, of course, they're not going to write that into the contract, but historically, that is what they've been able to deliver. We studied 2 or 3 large urban districts that they've worked with, and in terms of actual dollars, let alone the time factor, they really are able to deliver a pretty substantial return potentially. Obviously, we will have to be a factor in that. We have to be willing to listen to those recommendations and to bring those forward, but it is a really powerful tool for getting that return on investment. And we wouldn't have brought this forward if we're not for the fact that we've seen 2 or 3 comparable case studies that show that they've had a lot of success with this.
And I'll just add on, it's not that we don't have the skill set and the capacity to do that. Christina Miller is fantastic and through the accountability teams, but I look at this as an audit. Just having that external perspective and some things we don't see, and again, that emotional detachment from it.
And we will have updates reporting back on their findings?
Probably frequently, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Carpenter?
A couple of questions, I guess. First, how did we decide DMG, or how did we get connected with them?
They've ran several of our audits for different things, special ed and other things. They've done this program, PRISM, for several years. They're kind of the gold standard when it comes to that evaluation and audit process for districts. And we've had quite a long relationship with them as well. We were able to also talk down the price too. This was a significant cost initially, which we were able to get down to a manageable cost for us to potentially see that 10X return on investment.
Is it something that we reached out to them about, or did they suggest it, or how did that come about? I'm kind of curious.
They held a seminar, it was about a month ago, with the PRISM piece, and just with our dealings with other initiatives that we've had with them, it's been something that we've been kind of in communication with them about.
Thank you. And then just one other. So will they also be looking at like programs that are school level programs?
Potentially, yeah. It's all in everything, and really trying to catalog everything that we're doing that is time or human or cost effort, and looking at that for potential efficiencies and savings.
All right, thank you.
Ms. Bennett?
Okay, I have 2 quick questions. On page 16, just for example, it talks a lot about staffing. So do staff have full caseloads, workloads? Are existing class sizes reflected and scheduled? Like all the staffing kind of things, just for example. So would this, for lack of a better term, audit, I guess, be inclusive of like talking to staff, or it's going through records, it's doing, okay, doing both?
Yeah, they will. We're actually already starting to work, you know, in anticipation that we could get this approved in compiling lists of initiatives that we know about. And then based on that, they're actually going to reach out to the schools and talk to them, because based on what we're going to give them and then talking with principals and talking with staff, they feel like they're going to uncover other stuff that's going on and happening that are probably related to, you know, these overall initiatives, but then can actually help us dig deeper to really get to the heart of maybe where we're not, you know, getting the maximum out of what we were trying to do. So they're definitely going to be reaching out down to the school level to really mine down in there for things that are actually happening at school level too that we may not even really be aware of.
Okay, and then just to add on to kind of Mr. Carpenter's question, so there was no like RFQ, no bid, no nothing like that put out that other individuals or other entities could you know, contact us and talk about their services or anything like that?
There was not on this particular initiative, no.
Okay.
Mrs. Pearson?
Yes, so I think for the sake of public knowledge, so Rockford Public Schools is facing future budget uncertainty coupled with superintendent change, which was aforementioned. The district universal goals and the Board of Education vision of success are likely to change. The district has an opportunity that entails a thorough evaluation of district initiative to identify inventory and analyze their effectiveness. Many initiatives have been created and silos without coordinated district-wide plan. By meticulously identifying and assessing each initiative, we can strategically realign the budget and resources to prioritize those that demonstrate significant impact and align with universal goals and the board's vision. The approach ensures a focused and efficient allocation of resources, driving meaningful progress and fostering a more goal-oriented environment. It goes on to say that on the alternative choices, while we have the bandwidth and skill to accomplish this work internally, DMG has a proven process with PRISM that will revitalize and provide outside perspective and confirmation to investigative process to critically evaluate each initiative, its whole cost, people, time, and effort, to determine alignment and actual return on investment for the district. So I find it a little concerning that we have gone through so much approval that affects our budget. And so we have a $150,000 decision here, which is not small money, but in relation to so many things that we've rushed through is rather concerning. And so our concern is far greater than $150,000. And we're going to go over other details or in regards to the master's facility plan and things of that sort. So I think it is be helpful to understand, because we have an overall district audit. And so what would be the difference if we're looking at this from an audit perspective? What would be the difference in this if we have the bandwidth and the skill? What would be the difference in this versus the overall audit? And I understand, I mean, professionally, at some point, I mean, you're human, so you're going to have some emotional investment, but at the same time, simultaneously, you have to maintain a level of professionalism. So to spend $150,000 when it is clearly stated that we have the bandwidth and the skill, it causes question. So can someone elaborate on that?
So I can address how it's different than the financial audit that we do. The financial audit really is a process that goes through and evaluates our internal controls that don't have anything to do with the operational side of the school district, providing like educational opportunities and, return on investment and things like that. It makes sure that we have safety and soundness in the way that we handle money and the way that we present financial information to you, the board, and the community. And so that's what the annual audit does on the financial part of what we do. What this is gonna do is really look at all these things that you guys have been hearing about over the years about we're doing iReady and Ready Teacher Toolbox. We're doing the science of reading. We're doing this. We're doing that. We're doing, all these other initiatives that are out there. And what it's going to help us do is get our hands around all of that kind of stuff and see whether all these individual things that we're doing in tandem or in silos are actually really providing the benefit to our students that they should be providing. And it's going to allow us to accelerate this process so we can tie it in with the FY27 budget. We can't do it for the current year budget, right? This is really to set us up for success and really try and get a clear deck for who's ever going to be coming in, a year from now as the superintendent, and really so they kind of know what the lay of the land is, when they come in as a new superintendent, and kind of have a clean slate, when they're looking at what their strategic vision for the district is going to be. I guess that's the best way I could.
Well, thank you. I certainly appreciate, you sharing. So I guess it doesn't necessarily take away the concern. And, I'm going to frequently refer back to the training that we were all in, where he indicated that, they discovered a whole, storeroom of curriculum that wasn't used. And so how many times have we invested and only for it to be in storage? And you all know how much we have in storage. And so with all of our capability, why do we need someone from the outside? We've went over and over different things that we have done the same way for multiple years and not really yielding the results. So what I'm hearing is that we need someone from the outside to come in to tell who that you have too much going on that's not yielding the results that you should for. So if we weren't having a new superintendent come in, then what? Would this be a concern, or I still really don't understand.
I can say that no matter what, I would have been recommending something along these lines. We've done this historically, and about every 5 years or so, when you have a large, complex organization that serves 41 schools and has hundreds of things that the community asks us to do for children, I think it's always important for us to re-examine which of those things are really having a great impact and which of those things are having less of an impact. You've seen us inject discipline through a process we call academic return on investment, where we talk about very high-level programs. And the board in July is going to get a final report on what we've been doing with mathematics, but we've also studied our reading program with great success. And so one of the things this is going to do is reinforce what is working well and what are the things And the other thing it does, I think, is really powerful, and this is a really different way of doing this. This isn't this is a very unique thing that this particular group does, which is not only are they working with the district office, but they're going to be working directly with principals and teachers, and they're going to be talking to them and say, hey, do you really use this stuff? And it's not that we can't do those things, but what this does is it provides another lens to find opportunity that we may be too close to that opportunity to see. We may still want, and so these are all things that if the board feels like $150,000 isn't worth the risk to invest and you'd like to save the money, then that's going to be your prerogative. But we're bringing it here before you because we believe we can save not only significant dollars in next year's budget to clear the way for new strategic investment, but we also believe we can increase time available, because at the end of the day, during the pandemic, we had a massive increase in federal spending. We had a massive increase in state and local spending, and we had lots of financial opportunity. At the end of the day, whether it was going to be me for 4 more years or it's going to be another superintendent, right-sizing our spending in an adjustment to a much flatter revenue is something we can either do early or something we can do later. And I can say with almost complete certainty that if we don't invest in some kind of a very rigorous discipline process, the next year's budget process is going to be very challenging. And Dr. Brown and Mr. Barthel and I all believe that this is the best way to proactively address a year from now's budget, because I selflessly, this is not going to benefit me personally, but I don't want the new superintendent to have to come in here and do a bunch of cuts. And I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I'm saying that's a possibility. And the earlier we cut and the earlier we invest, and when I say cut, I don't mean we're cutting people's jobs necessarily. What I'm saying is we're going to be taking a really close look at what's working and what's not working. And instead of just saying, hey, we've got to cut 10% of our budget, this is a way we could find savings in a very precise way by doing things that we aren't going to use as much of. So that's the proposal on the table. It's there's a cliche people use a lot. It's approaching the problem with a scalpel rather than a hacksaw. It'll allow us to be very precise in the cuts we make, so we do the least damage to students and our staff. But make no mistake about it, this will allow us to save some dollars along the way, and what we will hopefully find duplicated efforts, inefficiencies, and find our dollars there, as opposed to having to just broadly find money to balance our budget in future budget cycles. We're relatively confident we're going to be in a good place for this budget, but we see significant cost increases with flat revenue, and this is a way to get in front of that. So essentially, we'll be spending all of this coming year from day one looking for ways and opportunities to find new things we maybe haven't thought of, or maybe our principals are afraid to tell us, or whatever. This process will help us bring all of that out, and it's my hope that we do that while I'm here to help pave the way, but I suspect we'll be doing it one way or the other. That would be my prediction.
So will they also take a look at our storage area where we have all the curriculum that we didn't use and offer feedback on that? I mean, how close of a look are they going to take?
Yeah, anything and everything from that perspective is on the table to talk about. We haven't gotten into the specific pieces, but again, when we're cataloging all those initiatives where we're spending time and effort or we have deficiencies, they will have their eyes on and be gathering that information and working with us to do so.
Okay, thank you. So let's follow this again, keep our hands on the pulse of this, and perhaps going forward, I think for the sake of fairness with organizations to let things go to bid or request the RFQ, whatever we need to do, because that too raises questions. We pick and choose who we're going to do business with, and in all fairness, it should be done a little different. Thank you.
Noted.
Any other questions? Okay, so administration will be asking the board to vote on this matter at the June 17, 2025 meeting. Next, we move on to the preview of consent items. Below are the consent agenda items for the Planning and Development Committee. A, school status attend. B, donation outside covered pavilion for Cherry Valley Elementary School. Morgan Gallagher on behalf of Cherry Valley Elementary School. C, memorandum of understanding between the Board of Education and the Rockford Public Schools in the city of Rockford. D, Summit K-12 holding software. E, IFB 25-35 masonry repairs at Fairview, Gregory, and Rolling Green schools. F, IFP 25-39 Auburn High School student parking lot. G, IFP 25-40 Marshall Elementary School boiler replacement, and H, RFQ 2541 Civil Engineering Services. That completes the report for Planning and Development Committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McCall. Ms. Pearson, did you have a question about?
I did. This is the point that I was referring to in regards to the attendant specialist. So the attendant specialist and other school personnel spend significant time printing documents and mailing attendance letters in schools without an attendance specialist. This work falls on existing staff already managing full workloads. This reduced capacity for more impactful work focused on student attendance interventions. Additionally, the lack of centralized systems creates challenges in meeting attendance notification requirements and tracking communication consistently. So my first question is, will attendance specialists then work closely with, say, parent liaisons? How would this look going forward? Because it looks like a significant workload would be removed. So how then, or is it just taking off the extra special pressure and they'll continue on?
So it will free up a significant amount of their time, and it will also allow us to take a more equitable approach with our attendance letters, because these will all be automatically translated based on the language noted inside of, what the family's preference in Home Access Center. So we'll be able to send out letters in languages other than English, because right now our attendance letters just go out in English unless the attendance specialist makes a point to translate it using another system, attach that to there's multiple steps. So this will automatically send it in, in Spanish, in Swahili, in Arabic, in the languages that we select, that these are the top languages that we need to make sure that these go out in, which is incredibly important for us. It will also really leverage a lot of their time, so they have more time for that high impact work, especially at the beginning of the year, which is where we see the heaviest load of these letters going out, when that's the time where we need to spend in the community connecting with families to see where we have the aversions and where the barriers are, so we can engage with those families and students very early on. So we're engaging them back into the school at the beginning of the year and recapturing them in, so we don't have this, so we don't have a continued problem that ends up snowballing throughout the school year.
So our attendance specialist primary focus is attendance. Are they giving other duties outside of their scope?
They should not be.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I thank you. We are now at the Governance Committee. Item A is RFQ 25-34, which is for the executive search firm. The board is meeting next Tuesday, June 10th, 2025 at 5:15 here to interview search firms. Item B is Board Policy 2.150, which is being updated to clarify and update the board committee and subcommittee structure. C is Board Policy 5.60, which is updated with language added to reflect the requirement that all grant-related travel expenses be in compliance with the Grant Accountability and Transparency Act. Item D is Board Policy 5.100, which is being updated to incorporate additional training requirements for staff serving as a resource for students who are parents, expected parents, or victims of domestic or sexual violence, and for any employees whose duties include the resolution of complaints for these students. E and F, well, E is Board Policies 2.40 and also 5.290, which is G, are updated with language to detail options if the Department of Children and Family Services makes a recommendation regarding removal of an employee while a DCFS investigation is pending. Item F is 5.280, which is revised to reflect that non-licensed personnel may perform non-instructional duties in connection to academic programs when the governor has declared a disaster due to a public health emergency. Are there any questions or comments about any of the proposed policy changes? And thank you. The preview of the consent items for the Governance Committee in Section 8 are the meeting minutes, the property tax intergovernmental agreement, the resolution authorizing interventions in district assessment complaints and property tax appeal board complaints and appeals, and funding of property tax group IGA efforts. D is intergovernmental agreement with City of Rockford for police services. E is facility fee waiver request for YWCA Northwestern Illinois. F is closed session minutes release. G is prevailing wages. And H is the Freedom of Information log. Are there any questions about the consent items in the Governance Committee, Section 8? Ms. Bennett.
I have a clarifying question regarding how, okay, so for, letter D, intergovernmental agreement with City of Rockford for police services. For any changes that were made in the code of conduct that are in relation to law enforcement, so handcuff policy, a few different items that were adjusted from last school year, will there be communication with law enforcement on new code of conduct changes and their role within those?
So annually, we do training and meetings with the school resource officer sergeant. They're required to do some of our training in-house here as well, and that is all communicated with all the SROs of any changes that we have made.
Okay, thank you. And same thing regarding our teen dating violence policy and how that'll be handled as well.
Yeah, we can certainly incorporate that.
Okay.
I'll take that note.
Okay, thank you. There's just several items in the toolkit about the response that is, I just think would be really helpful for them to know too. So thank you.
Any other questions? And I assume there's no public speakers. Well, I want to thank everybody for their time and attention tonight. I know it's getting kind of long, but at this point, I'd take a motion and a second to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
And thank you all the staff for staying long, too. We're adjourned.